Eric Peterson with Arborist here. Today's weekly business tip, we're going to talk about subcontractors and workers' compensation. Now, many tree care companies bring in subcontractors to get some or all of their labor done, and it can be a fantastic way to help your business grow and stabilize and get the work that you have sold done. But doing it, there's obviously a few things that you got to be careful of. And there's many different issues, but today I want to just focus on the on-the-job injury to the subcontractor part of it. Which essentially would be workers' compensation. So there are a number of things to look at. The very first thing you want to look at is what are the laws in your state regarding subcontractor. To oversimplify, again, I'm oversimplifying, please check with your state law, but to oversimplify, it usually comes down to control. How much control do you as the hiring tree service have over the subcontractor? And if it's to a certain degree, they'll either be viewed in the state's mind or eyes as a independent contractor, subcontractor, or an employee. So look at your state's laws. That's the first thing. If you operate in multiple states, you got to know them for all the different states. The second thing is your own work comp policy. Hopefully you have this in place. And with anything on subcontractors, it always trickles back up to the general contractor, the tree service. So if they get injured on the job and you have a workers' comp policy, as long as your policy is enforced, your policy will pay for their injuries if they're deemed to be an employee. So if you have your workers' comp policy in effect, you're already protecting or insulating yourself from having to pay their medical bills or lost wages. So if you don't have the work comp policy, make sure you get one for yourself, because that ultimately protects you for that. The third thing is certainly have a contract with the individual. Where, when, how much, all those things that should go into a contract, right? Make sure that's in writing. It sets up the stage of the relationship and all of that. So have a contract with that individual. Usually that's one of the requirements to be an independent contractor by your state. So you kind of have to do that anyways, but have a contract. The last thing is have the subcontractor make sure that they have their own workers' comp policy. If they have their own work comp policy, they give you a copy of it or certificate of workers' comp, that alone is going to remove you from liability on the workers' comp or for an on-the-job injury for that subcontractor. So if you want to skip all the other stuff, just go to the point 4, make sure that they have their own workers' comp coverage, make sure that's active and enforced, and you're good there. Last thing I want to mention about subcontractors is the audit. So your workers' comp, you pay premium based on an estimated payroll amount throughout the year, and at the end of the year you do an audit, or you have to state what your payroll was. This is where we see a lot of issues with subcontractors. So make sure you have the right paperwork in place for your audit so that you can pull that payroll that you paid, or the cost that you paid to the subcontractor, out of the payroll from the audit, and you're not being charged on your workers' comp for the payroll dollars that were sent to the subcontractor. So if you have their workers' comp policy, you have their certificate of insurance, you have a contract, all those things will be necessary to pull them out. So you're not being charged more than you need to be on your workers' comp audit. If you have any other questions about subcontractors and workers' comp, please give us a phone call. We've worked with many tree services over all the years dealing with this issue. So reach out to an Arborist team member today. And remember, please be safe out there, and we'll talk to you later.